First, I want to thank every single viewer of my YouTube channel for your constant support. It truly means the world to me. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe. It helps me keep creating stories like this one. I wasn't supposed to hear it. The words slipped out of her mouth like a secret meant for someone else, but they reached me with the force of a knife sliding under the ribs. God, I hope he doesn't find out. It was barely more than a whisper, half buried under the hum of voices on her Zoom call. She thought I wasn't listening, that I was too wrapped up in my own work at the kitchen table. But in that quiet moment, the sentence cracked open a world I had never dared to imagine. One where my fiancée wasn't the woman I believed she was. At first, my chest felt hollow, like all the air had been sucked out of me. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe she was joking. Maybe, just maybe, those words weren't about me. But even as the excuses rushed through my mind, my gut twisted with something darker. The sense that my life had just shifted into unfamiliar territory, and nothing would ever feel the same again. For weeks, I had noticed little things. Her phone lighting up at midnight, the way she angled the screen away from me, the sudden bursts of laughter in another room when she thought I was asleep, a guardedness in her eyes whenever I asked simple questions. Who was that? Or what kept you up so late? She'd answer quickly, too quickly, and then change the subject. I told myself I was paranoid. We were engaged, planning our wedding, sharing dreams about a future together. Why would she betray me? But deep down I knew the truth. Love doesn't erase the signs. It just blinds us to them until they scream too loud to ignore. The night after I overheard her, I lay awake beside her in bed. She was turned away from me, her breathing slow and steady, as if she had no weight pressing on her chest. My arm itched to reach out, to pull her close, to believe in the warmth of her skin against mine. But I stayed still. My body was rigid with questions I couldn't voice. Who was she whispering about? What secret was she hiding? And what did it mean for me, for us? I wanted to shake her awake and demand answers, but another part of me hesitated. If I asked, she might lie. If I didn't, maybe I could keep pretending a little longer. The next day, I began to watch her differently. When she said she was working late, I noticed how her eyes darted from mine as she grabbed her keys. When she got a text and smiled at her phone, I wondered whose name had lit up the screen. Every laugh, every pause, every unexplained silence turned into evidence. And yet I still loved her. That was the cruelest part. Love isn't a switch you can flick off when betrayal creeps in. It's a fire that burns even as the house crumbles around you. One evening, when she went for a quick errand, I finally gave in to the temptation clawing at me. I opened her laptop. My hands shook as I entered the password, half hoping I'd find nothing, half terrified of what I might uncover. Her emails were clean. Her calendar looked ordinary. But her messages, hidden in a private folder she hadn't expected me to find, told a different story. There he was. His name, his words, his promises, and hers, so familiar in tone, yet foreign in their intent. Affection poured into typed sentences that had once belonged to me, but were now given freely to someone else. She wrote to him about the pressure of our relationship, how she sometimes felt trapped, how with him she could breathe. My vision blurred as I read. My stomach churned like acid. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional, intimate. She had handed him the most sacred parts of herself, the ones I thought were mine alone. When she came home that night, she found me sitting at the kitchen table, her laptop closed but still warm. Her smile faltered the second she saw my face. "What's wrong?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I wanted to scream, to hurl accusations, to ask how long she had been feeding me lies while building a secret life behind my back. But all I could manage was a single trembling question. Why? She froze, then sat across from me. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, with a sigh that sounded like surrender, she whispered, "I didn't mean for it to happen." The words gutted me, because they weren't a denial. They were a confession. She told me everything, though not all at once. It came in fragments, like shards of glass I had to piece together. She had met him at work. It started with innocent conversations, harmless jokes. Then coffee. Then long messages after hours. She claimed she hadn't planned for it to cross the line. But emotions had a way of sneaking past her defenses. I love you, she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. I do. But with him it's different. I don't feel the weight I feel with you. Her words stung more than any slap could have. I wasn't angry that she felt something for someone else. I was devastated that she had chosen him over honesty, that she had stolen our future and handed it, piece by piece, to a stranger. For days, I drifted through our apartment like a ghost. She tried to talk, to explain, to apologize, but her words bounced off the walls of my silence. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I replayed her whispers, her messages, her tears until they twisted into a loop of torment. And yet, part of me clung to the memories of who we used to be, the nights we stayed up planning our lives, the mornings she kissed me before leaving for work, the laughter that once filled our home. Were those moments lies too? Or had she loved me once, only to outgrow me without saying a word? The twist came not in her betrayal itself, but in what it revealed about me. I realized I had been building my identity around her love, measuring my worth through her eyes. When she betrayed me, it wasn't just our relationship that shattered, it was the foundation of who I thought I was. And maybe that's what betrayal really is. Not just the breaking of trust, but the breaking of self. The last night we spent together, she asked if I could forgive her. She swore she would cut him off, that she'd fight for us, that she still wanted the life we had planned. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I once thought I'd marry, now a stranger wearing the face of someone I used to know. I don't know if I can, I admitted, my voice raw. She cried, but I didn't move to comfort her. I couldn't. The space between us was too wide, filled with the echoes of everything we'd lost. The next morning, I packed a bag and walked out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't leave a note. I just left, because staying would have been a slow death of who I was, and leaving, though it felt like tearing myself in two, was the only way I might survive. Betrayal doesn't always end with shouting or revenge. Sometimes it ends in silence, in the hollow ache of absence, in the haunting realization that love can exist even when trust is gone. And that sometimes that's the cruelest cut of all.